Poof! The views and opinions expressed in this program are strictly those of the hosts and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of associated brands or figures. Poof!
How's it going, crewman? We're going to take a bit of a deviation from what we normally do because let's be honest with ourselves, none of you give a flippin' flying fee, fi, fo, fuck about what it is your captain cares about. So, we're going to talk about what y'all do. Now, I don't know if you guys realize this, but we live in a very, very interesting place. Not only are we in the middle of the state, but we're in the middle of our great state of Georgia. You know, for a place called the Peach State, things have not been so sweet, but they have definitely been a bit hairy as of late. And of all those people that are surviving the rotten pits that have become this state, few of them have had the resilience and the commitment to their dreams and aspirations as a certain shadow-stepping SOB. Seawin, how you feeling today, my friend?
Fantastic as always. How about yourself, Cap?
Oh man, I am quite literally here.
Mm-hmm. You exist.
Yep, that's it, man. I exist. I'm here. I am nothing more than a vessel to relay the greatness of the world around me. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what captains do. They pilot that vessel and go where the waves take them.
Pretty much. The waves, the wind, solar winds, as it were.
So what's up?
Man, I gotta know, what is it that motivates you? What keeps you going? And, you know, I ponder about that a lot. I actually ponder, what is it that keeps the man going? How does he do it? A guy that sleeps as little as I do, just about. You've been at this for how many years?
In the music game, let's see, how old am I now? So it's about 18 years, enough for an adult to be born and get to legally smoke.
18 years. Well, not anymore. Shit, 21 is the age of
Oh, they changed the.
Yeah, they bumped that up like last year.
Wouldn't you be mad as shit like if you were just about to turn 18?
A lot of people were. Whole lot of people were.
Congratulations to the 18-year-olds that didn't realize till a day later they quit smoking.
Weren't you just talking about them moving the goalpost?
I mean, that is exactly what it is in a sense, right? Like, Imagine being told up until a couple of days before your 18th birthday. Now you finally get to have a smoke. You can't drink yet, but you can smoke. But then again, I guess, you know, if we moved the age of cigarettes up to 21, you may as well move everything up to 21. You may as well make the age of consent 21.
Yeah, don't send me overseas and I can't puff one to calm my nerve.
Oh, man, come on.
Yeah, raise the enlistment age, too.
Yeah, like I said, raise it all. 21 across the board.
Yeah.
But that's beside the point. You know, you've been at this damn near 2 decades.
Mm-hmm.
You got 18 going on 19 years of experience, man. And yet you find yourself here in Makanga yet again, man. I mean, like, you're clearly capable of doing this anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Why here?
Yeah, shit, you just answered the question then, because, you know, a lot of my family is here, a lot of my roots and experiences, and you go to these other places where you don't have, you know, those types of people that you can, you know, depend on and reach out to directly. And, you know, under the pretenses that you have to be in those places in order to succeed or get anything done. But then, like you said, you can literally do it anywhere. So I was like, why the fuck not at home? You know what I'm saying? And I don't know. It's not that it's something specific about this place, because I'm pretty sure if I grown up somewhere else, you know, it'd be a similar situation. I grew up partly here and partly down in Vero Beach, Florida, more specifically Gifford, the black neighborhood. And I actually stayed there for a few years. And, you know, and it was a very different type of mission that, you know, I fulfilled. Like, it's certain things that you can and can't do down there. And so you basically find out how you can be useful based on what they're doing. And it just so happens that the things that I'm best equipped for to make a difference are better served here, because there isn't a me in other places. You know what I'm saying? Like you go to a place like LA or New York, you got plenty of people who are getting on and, you know, doing their thing at various levels and things like that. But then here in Macon, we haven't really in recent years just had a person that succeeds in a way that transforms the landscape of the whole city. You got a few people that get out here and then go do their thing elsewhere. But as far as somebody that's here that people can say has made a difference in their lives, you know, they haven't really had that. And then instead of waiting for somebody to come along, you just, you know, I just set my mind on being that person.
So you're basically embodying the change that you know needs to be.
Absolutely.
All right, makes perfect sense, man. That makes perfect sense to me. You know, there's something I've been meaning to pick your brain about.
Oh, yeah, pick.
Now, you know, when me and you, and, you know, when me, you, and Chi, when we go and we have meetings with folks, man,
mm-hmm.
and you introduce the Madvocates, you know, what is it that you say that we are for the city?
Oh, yeah, we're Macon's resident superhero crew, hip-hop superhero crew.
Hip-hop superhero crew. Now, now I'm gonna tell you this right now. I don't know if you ever look at any of our hueless compatriots when you say that, man, but they...
I don't know. I actually revel in how
some of
look.
some of them shut off completely. Some of them just roll their nose.
Mm-hmm.
What does he mean by that?
Yeah, that's my favorite part.
And it's like, because they only see and hear the well, they don't see or hear shit about the culture. They only are told about it.
Mm-hmm.
So since we're on the wave of something new, and we're the first ones to do what it is that we're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are we not the ones that define what it is that we do?
That's true.
So that being the case, I'd like to set the record straight, and for once and for all, explain to the world what it is that means to you. What is the hip-hop lifestyle according to C. Wind? What is it about the Madvocates and about our way that makes us the embodiment of hip-hop superheroes?
Mm-hmm. All right, so the important thing to for people to understand is that it's not about being different, because the lifestyle that is associated with hip hop, it's a constant, it's consistent. However, the way that people have chosen to use that and manifest that is what's different. But then that's no different than anything else in the world, because like, even though me, you, CJ, we look physically different on the surface or whatever, we still got, you know, a lot of the same things going on inside. We each have, you know, 5 fingers on each hand and stuff like that. And unfortunately, it's too easy to get caught up in those surface type of differences, such that you can't see that thing that makes the connection between you and all. So it's like, so I wouldn't say anything, like, at least for me personally, nothing separates me from the bigger picture of hip hop, and therefore what that actually allows them to see when they meet me. And the reason that I introduce myself as such is that it becomes clear when they start seeing the other parts of me as a human being. They get to see what of me is hip hop versus what's me, Chris Wynn, the person. And so like, the reason we've been able to be so successful is, regardless of whatever designation or whatever we're quote unquote supposed to be, they meet the person, you know. And it's at least a couple situations I could think of that I personally been in where somebody made a judgment initially about me, and then within minutes it was entirely different. And one of the biggest was back in 2013 when I was arrested speaking downtown. And you know, we were talking about the whole mask thing earlier, and it's funny because I was just saying to somebody that whereas a lot of people felt like their rights were being imposed on by wearing masks, me, on the flip side, I'm looking at it as all those stupid regulations and fines that were being imposed on people for wearing masks, and now been lifted so I can wear masks freely now. So like, I was already wearing masks before this became a thing, you know. So but that night, all right, the officer that arrested me when I was out there speaking to that crowd of people, he when we got in the car, you could tell at the beginning of it, he thought I was just another black kid causing trouble, whatever else. But by the end of the ride downtown or whatever, like we'd had a whole conversation. He knew about my educational background, and we just spoke on certain things. I asked him questions like, okay, so how do you determine whether somebody is breaking the law or whatever else? And then that's why I learned how, like, with police officers, it really comes down to their interpretation of what happened, you know. And so, and he was honest about that. And then by the end of the ride, he's like, yeah, I mean, you seem like a an intelligent, upstanding dude. You shouldn't be in there long, whatever. Like obviously, since we already started the process, you still got to get processed, but you'll be able to bail out soon. But that just goes to show you, like, even when it comes to me saying hip hop superhero or whatever, all right, initially I could just say we just a hip hop crew, but then the fact that superheroes thrown in there already that's what causes that confusion within them, because they're like, wait a minute, I don't know much about hip hop, but I know about superheroes. Or the other people are like, oh, I know about hip hop, but I don't know about superheroes. So that already creates a dialogue right then and there, and then they can see it for themselves.
Now, part of me, my eyebrow was peaked at a very specific point in what you were saying just then.
Word.
Why is it, do you think, that you had to go through all that, though, for him to see that about you? Like, do you think that, say if you were not the embodiment of what you perceive as the hip-hop lifestyle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, don't you think you could have had all that conversation with him not in his squad car on the way to processing?
It's been my experience that it didn't matter, because it was a conversation that was had before we got in that car. Because the thing is, if they've been deployed, they've already been deployed with a very specific intention in mind. So, like, when you look at some of these situations that have happened, the reason that you can have a child playing with a toy gun out there and get shot the second they got there is because they've already decided what they were going to do before they got there. And so that particular evening, the officer that came over, like, I was under the pretenses that I hadn't committed any crime, done anything wrong, so on and so forth. And he came over then, and we were having a conversation. And while we were having said conversation, he had the other officer that was with him go to the car, and he was trying to run my information and do all of those types of things. So they already trying to see if I got a record, warrant, or whatever. It didn't matter what I had going on, you know what I'm saying, or was doing out there or whatever. They were still looking to see if I had some kind of criminal record or things like this, you know. So they came out there with a very specific intention. And fact of the matter is, the circumstances of that night, I could have easily gotten away from this motherfucker. Like, I'll just put that out there. Like, and it crossed my mind. I knew exactly what path I could go, but then there was a bigger statement to be made by allowing that motherfucker to do that in front of a crowd of people who saw that I hadn't done anything wrong. Because my brother and my manager at the time or whatever, they were getting ready to raise hell. And I said, no, I was like, keep your peace. Watch, I'll be out pretty soon. Whatever, no fine, no nothing. Watch. Or whatever. And sure enough, like, you know, I had to be held over the weekend because you can't see a judge until Monday. But when I walked in there Monday, he was like, you shouldn't be in here. Like, you're a good kid. All right, no fine, no da-da-da-da. And this is what I knew. But that person, that officer, he learned something that night by actually having that time to speak with me. The people that I interacted with while I was in jail or whatever, I made a difference in their lives while I was there. And I got to learn some things about how it was on the inside for myself. And then the people back home got to learn something when I made it out, and then didn't have to go through what a lot of them go through in jail or whatever, simply because I just rolled out my process, did what I came to do, and then got out of there. You know what I'm saying? But
right, yeah. But part of me is still stuck on it. Why even put you through all that? Now I'm glad that you took the things away from it that you took away from it. You're able to share knowledge. You were able to show folks, hey, look, this is what I know, so this is how I know it's going to work out. Mm-hmm. Well, that's all fine and dandy for a man that's able to be zen while sitting in a jail cell when he ain't do nothing wrong. And hats off to you for that, because I'm not that guy. Mm-hmm. And I'll admit that, I'm not that man. Least of all, 2 days of my life. Mm-hmm. After I've already presented to you that I wasn't doing anything wrong, You see I have a good head on my shoulders and stuff, but you're still just going to throw me in there anyway. He could have let you go.
No, he couldn't have. Like, once I was
He could have let you. Yeah, the officer on the street can make that call. He could have let you go.
Once
You
I was
didn't.
in the
You
car,
weren't
it was
doing
over with,
anything.
you know what I mean?
No, he could have let you go. Like, they could let you go at any time. You going in the car is not off to jail you go. That's not how that works. And if that's how that man told you, I hate to say it, once again, making bid proving why they have 1.5 stars as a review on Google. Because that's not how that works, man. I'm happy for the lessons learned and for the experience gained. Don't get me wrong. What makes me perturbed is that it was an experience that had to be gained. What makes me perturbed is that it's something that you went through by his volition. Even after he was like, you know what, you're a good guy. You know, yeah, it's a shame I got to arrest you. No, you didn't have to arrest shit. You could have actually observed.
Let's look at the context, because there was a bigger. See, because down there, I had plenty of time to make a decision for myself. Because like I said, I could have gotten away. Like I had.
I mean, did anyone ask you to leave before that?
Hold on, no. It wasn't nothing like that. Like that could happen relatively quick. However, here's the point.
It sounds like you were just scooped up, though.
I went willingly. You got to understand.
I understand you went willingly.
Hold on. Listen to. Let me finish the statement. What happened was there was a moment out there where I made a decision. I said, okay, well, I can think about me, or I got my brother right here filming something. I got a crowd of people right here, or whatever. There's a bigger statement to be made here. And then sure enough, the result of all of this was that, like, all the things I had done in this city up until that point or whatever, like there was stuff that was like newsworthy type of shit I was doing for the good of people and the city and my school, stuff like this. The first time I was ever in the paper, I was on the front page of the motherfucking paper because of that incident. And so what ended up happening was, like, when you went to like the message boards and stuff, because they had the article online or whatever, that was the first time I realized how many people not only knew who I was, but were willing to stand up for who I was or whatever. Because you had people who didn't know anything about the situation. You know how you have your folks that come and troll on the comment, but then you have people that were on there. They're like, no, I know this guy, and he's da 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 da, and he's a great dude, da 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 da. I was like, damn, I didn't even know that many motherfuckers cared about who I was or whatever. But then case in point, I reached far more people through that experience than anything else I had been doing. You got all these people out here, you know, they go and they do their music or whatever else they doing because it's about look at me. But then I said, but that was a situation I got the opportunity to choose. Don't look at me, look at the situation. Look what's happening. If they could throw somebody like me in there or whatever, ain't none of you safe. Or this was right after Trayvon got killed. Or whatever. It took other people years to figure out what the fuck was happening, or everything that's happening now. Like that was set in motion. Like it was already kind of, you know, what was happening in this country, but that was a pivotal moment when they lit that man off with it, whether it was lawful or not or whatever. When they lit him off with that, it triggered something that people are like, oh, I can get away with murder now or whatever. And so it was very important to send that message in a more specific type of state right here in Macon. You know, like not the general sense, because none of the people I know, none of us in the room knew Trayvon personally. You know, we were impacted the way we were impacted, but it was something that people right here could call their own incident. You know, so they could see it for themselves. That's not just some shit being spun in the news. It's like, no, y'all know me. My brother got on camera what was happening that night, and it still happened. And so it was more important for people to be able to see that part than anything else. Like, I didn't care. Like, I wasn't doing shit that weekend. In fact, I ate better and slept better while I was in there because we ain't have no fucking food at the house. We ain't have no cable at the crib or whatever. They gave me shampoo, a comb, toilet tissue, bunch of shit we ain't have at the crib at the time or whatever.
That's not to say that we're saying that if y'all ain't got nothing to eat, don't be going and getting yourself. Let's not make it sound like it was the Ritz or whatever.
It might as well have been, but it's not like that anymore, because this was the other context of what was going on in the city at the time was that they were getting ready to transition over from merging Macon with Bibb County. And so they were basically rounding up niggas like hotcakes around this time or whatever, because now when you merge the city with county, you're not dealing with city jail anymore. Now it's all county, and then there was more money to be made within those operations, and they were getting ready to change some things up downtown. So the fact that we were downtown when it happened was also a factor in there. So there was a lot of other context that went on to why. So answer your question of why it had to come to that or whatever. Other circumstances, yeah, you're probably right. They probably would have let me go. My father's a fucking police sergeant or whatever. So it's like, so it might have been different circumstances, but because of what was happening and the changes that were going on in the city that the average person doesn't know about or whatever, it went down the way it went. And I said, all right, well, if it's gonna go down like that, I'm gonna show you motherfuckers something. And that's the hip hop attitude in me, or whatever. Because school followed directions, honor my family me or whatever. Probably wouldn't have wanted it to go down like that. But then hip hop me that said, okay, well, I'm sick of this shit. I'm tired of this happening to people that look like me. That was the motherfucker that said, no, take me in, watch what happens.
Again, not me, but fair. Like
it ain't for everybody. But
I mean, not me, but again, like it makes sense. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to sit here and say it doesn't make sense because it does. Now I'm all down for being, a shield for your people, or I'm all down with being a shield for your people. Taking a hit. That's one thing. But I guess to me, when that blue line is involved. And I think we know what I mean when I say that blue line. A lot of that kind of goes out the window. I guess just because of how we're viewed. Now, for somebody like you who has those connections and stuff, it seems like what happened with you was pretty inevitable. For you to get out of there and stuff like that.
No, they left me in there. I called everybody that night.
Right.
No, fuck that shit.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody come to get me. No. It ain't go down like that.
So it's like,
no.
Nobody could come to get you. Mm-mm. Nobody could afford. Well, yeah, you ain't have food at the house. Who the hell gonna pay bail, right?
Exactly. But it was great that it worked out the way it did too, because if they had gone down there and paid that fine, and then it turned out like it did on Monday, where the judge was like, "Oh, you shouldn't be in here," and then just let me off altogether, somebody would have been out $100 for no reason,
and they would have never got that money back.
You know what I'm saying? So it was what it was. Yeah. So there wasn't a connection in the world that would have gotten me out, because I do come from one of those types of families where they assume that if you're in there, you got in there for a reason or whatever. So you wouldn't even have a chance to tell the story. You know what I'm saying? Like,
ain't that a bitch?
Yeah. That's probably the suckiest part about it, and then part of that is because I have other cousins and whoever else who have been arrested, been through the system, usually for dumb shit or whatever, but because of that they assume that if you're in there, it's probably for more of that dumb shit, and then they don't even recognize it. That, wait a minute, we know that you're the only one that went to college, you're the only one that did that and the other, so if it's happening to you, it must be a different situation. We don't get that luxury.
We never do.
Yeah, we don't get that luxury. Yeah, so they left my ass in there. I wouldn't, if it wasn't for the tools that I came back here equipped with after I left from LA or whatever. Nah, it wouldn't have gone down like that. We wouldn't have gone down like that at all. I wouldn't have had the peace to do that at all. So yeah, so definitely don't want to paint it as one of these things anybody could just walk out there to do, or that they should do.
So then
what
what advice would you have for an aspiring Madvocate? Say if they find themselves outspoken and in the situation that you're in, or you were in, what would you recommend to them? How would you recommend how they handle it?
Oh, that's easy. All right, so just to distinguish for the people that are falling kind of behind. So what makes a person a Madvocate? The name came from advocating for a better making and whatnot. But we had those early rules. They basically things as simple as don't do or say shit that's gonna impact the rest of us negatively. You know what I'm saying? And so that's a responsibility that comes with taking on that title. And then we don't make you be a Madvocate. Like we ain't just gonna go out here and be like, oh, you have to be one. You have to be one. Like that's a choice that person makes. And then if you're making that choice to take that title of Madvocate, it's just a matter of looking at how your actions impact everybody else at the end of the day. And that's something that you can use in just about any situation. So in that particular type of situation or whatever, obviously you have some choices that you can make in that moment as to how's this affect me versus how does it affect everybody I'm associated with. How does it affect that M? How does it affect the city of Macon? Because if this goes national news, they're not gonna call you out by name initially. In a lot of cases, they're gonna say Macon resident does this. You know what I'm saying? So how does that impact all the people that you love that stay in that same place as you? You know, so that's just kind of the space you have to be in at all times with no matter what you're doing. And it's not as heavy as you would think. Like, it's not that hard to do things or not do things with the consideration of the people you're connected to.
I mean, that sounds very straightforward, but you know, we are in the age where people get upset if you ask them to wear a mask for other people's safety.
I would love to make it more complicated, but what we found in all of this, all the things that actually work, they really are that simple. And I understand that your human brains who have been conditioned by society since you were kids or whatever wants you to make things more complex because you get more attention and you get more rewards for making things more complex. Like, you know how you had that kid in like 5th grade or whatever where, you know, you made the little volcano joint for the for your science project, but then they had like their parents and their cousin that was in college helped them make a project, and they got this big ass diorama with all this complicated shit going on.
Yeah, shit that you know damn well ain't no way.
You know, so you know you couldn't have done.
Ain't no way you did. Why are there wax figures?
You know what I mean?
Why is there a scale model of Pompeii at the bottom of your volcano? Wait a minute.
But see,
remote controlled?
You see what I'm saying? So it's like, so whereas you're over here learning how to do things on your own and learning the value of figuring out these things and learning these things on your own, this person figured out the thing that a lot of people have used in order to get success in this country, which is how to utilize the talents of other people. You know what I'm saying? And so even though that in and of itself isn't bad, but the way that it's taught to us is in a way to where we're more quick to capitalize on someone as opposed to look at them as a human being. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, so those skills had to be instilled early on in order for it to, you know, be as simple as, oh, okay, I just don't fuck over the person next to me. I don't care who it is. Because when you start adding all those other labels, like, I don't fuck over this person because it's my brother. I don't fuck over this person because they got the same views as me. As opposed to it just being that central fact, don't fuck over other people or else you always fuck over yourself. That's simple.
You know, I always get accused of being a bit raunchy. A bit, you know, I guess I still have my infantryman's mouth, right? Y'all ever heard there are 3 different kinds of people in this world?
What 3 of those?
Yeah, what context?
There are dicks, there are pussies, and there are assholes.
Team America.
Now,
Easy. Whoa, you gotta calm down there, Chuck. I hurt people. I'm a dick. Well, being a dick ain't so bad. See, there's 3 kinds of people. Dicks, pussies, and assholes. Pussies think everyone can get along, and dicks just want to fuck all the time without thinking it through. But then you got your assholes, Chuck. And all the assholes want is to shit all over everything. So pussies may get mad at dicks once in a while because pussies get fucked by dicks. But dicks also fuck assholes, Chuck. And if they didn't fuck the assholes, you know what you'd get? You'd get your dick and your pussy all covered in shit.
yeah, the pussies get fucked over by dicks. But dicks also fuck assholes. Because if nobody's doing the fucking, then your dick and your pussy winds up covered in shit because every pussy is only 1.5 inches away from becoming an asshole.
Yep. The difference between a
every
pussy and
dick
an asshole
is 1.5 inches away from becoming an asshole. Mm-hmm. But dare I say it, it's the mutuality of everyone's getting fucked that should make you not want to get your dick or your pussy all covered in shit.
Because whereas the pussies lay back and take it, the assholes shit back. So, hey,
Don't go out there being a dick to all the pussies out there in the world. Otherwise, an asshole will have you wearing shit socks. You get what I'm saying?
There you go. It's not our fault. Team America.
World police.
Great movie. That was actually one of the realest, like.
That was one of the real. Let me tell you something, Chuck.
One of the realest shits I ever heard, though. Like,
That was one of the realest lines. Hey, listen here, Chuck. There are three kinds of people in this world, Chuck. Dicks, pussies, and assholes. I mean, like, man, look. Yeah, the pussies get fucked over by the dicks, and the pussies sit there dribbling and whining and crying about it because they're always getting fucked by the dicks. Dicks also fuck assholes. I will never forget that line from that movie.
deep.
Because no matter what you do in this world, there will always be somebody out there who just does not care. They don't care what your morality is. They don't care if you're a dick. They don't care if you're a pussy. But they are out to fuck you.
Yeah, out there. So you get once you experience, because like if you can only really navigate in a way that keeps you from getting knocked off track when you've kind of stood in the shoes of each of those, because you know everybody has a moment when they shift between the where you either put in a position of authority where you have the choice whether to fuck people over or not. You've got people who have been that person in a situation where they can't help but, you know, get fucked. Like they're either too small or weak or too they don't have the opportunities, and then, you know, that's all they can do. And then you've got those ones that are, you know, on that other end of the spectrum where it's just like, you know what, fuck all this, I'm shitting on everybody. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, so when you've kind of experienced like,
and that mentality is way more common. Like we're chuckling, but it
is
that's actually the default mentality right now.
You know what I'm saying? And then you know, you got those rare folks who come along who are like, yo, let me pull up my fucking pants and do something else with my day. Like, why does my whole day revolve around what I'm fucking or getting fucked by? Like, why can't I just pull up my drawers and go eat some ice cream or something? Like what the fuck? You know what I mean? So
go ride a bike, read a book, go do something.
Do something besides fuck. You gotta hydrate yourself. Like, and so we were just those people that were like, I would rather go hydrate myself instead of just sitting there worried about fucking or getting fucked. You know, and then you'd be surprised how much you can get done, because that's the funny thing about it. If you're a pussy, you got to get wet, so somebody got to hydrate. And then if you're an asshole, you got to eat something. So if you're that person that's providing the hydration and the food or whatever, you good for everybody. So they don't worry about you.
You keep everything regular when you mind your business and stop worrying about fucking or getting fucked. You know what I mean? And for those of you that don't understand nuance and can't put shit together, we're not explaining shit to you this episode. You just gonna have to learn. I'm tired of explaining shit to y'all.
You got Google. Like, we grew up in a time where there was no such thing as Google, goddammit.
And I hate telling people Google it, but at this point, when I answer you, you don't like when I answer you, so fucking Google it for your goddamn self. I'm tired of this shit.
You use etymology. Like, there's so many ways that you can get hold to the context that we shouldn't have to break it all down within an hour.
Oh, you think Google's bought out by the Jews and whatever stupid, crazy right wing? Because right wingers can say shit like, you know, the Jews are evil. You can say that all you want when you're right wing. That's totally okay. So we'll just go ahead and say that, right? Like, if you're going around and you're doing stuff like that.
Yeah, if you're doing that type of shit, like it doesn't serve anybody. It's just like, I guess, for your entertainment value.
You're just out there being a troll and an ass.
That's it.
Specifically.
And incidentally, you have all forms of each of those, even in something like hip hop. So it's easy for people to confuse what actual hip hop is versus the way that certain people have chosen to use it.
So what would you say is your way? Because we can't say the way of using it, right? Because there is no.
Just hell I can.
Oh,
no.
Whoa.
Hold on.
Okay.
And only reason.
All right, go for it, man.
The reason is, okay, so with anything or whatever, you have certain facts that are associated with it. So if you look at
the right wingers are not going to like this. You're literally saying that the truth.
Hold on.
You're saying the truth is the truth, and that there is no alternate truth. Oh no!
No, yeah, you got the alternate to the. All right, so both of these things, we have fact and we have fiction, and we have the thing that was there, and then how everybody looked at it. Because I love to use the example of the barn that's painted different colors on all four sides. You got a person standing on each side, and this person over here is yelling, "It's blue," but the other person's like, "No, it isn't. It's red." But if they just walked around the barn, they see, "Oh, it's blue and red and green and yellow." Okay, cool. All right, but so the first thing to do, you have to step away and just look at the facts. Like, when did things happen? When did it first become called hip hop? What was the events, actual stuff that you can go back and look at. All right, what you think about it and how you interpret it from there is your business or whatever. But let's just stick with those. All right. And so what happens is with hip hop. All right. So if we start from, let's say we just start from like civil rights era, right? So you had like these different leaders and people that were kind of at the forefront of this movement. And then you have this period of time where all of them are either killed or incarcerated. All right. And so with the absence of these people to kind of guide the way or whatever, that's when you start having these different community organizations pop up that would eventually become things like your Crips and Bloods and stuff like this. And then these become the guys that everybody's looking toward, because they don't have guidance, and they just using. You have some people who had firsthand account where they saw like what Panthers and MLK and all these people were doing, and then they tried to do their own thing but didn't have the guidance. And then you have a generation that comes after that doesn't know anything about any of that shit and is just copying what they saw their brother or somebody in the street doing or whatever. And so you had this progression. Likewise, the music in this country has always paralleled whatever was going on in the time, because like you think about like civil rights era, you have like Sam Cooke, a change gonna come, because he went from just wanting to entertain people to being like, nah, I need to say something with my music. And then ends up dead not too long after that. But that's neither here nor there. But case in point, the music follows what's going on with the people at the time. And so even if you look within hip hop, it's a reflection of what the status of our people are at that particular time. And so when you look at the beginnings of hip hop, a lot of people, they speak specifically on what was happening in the Bronx or whatever, because that's when you start talking about the block party stuff, and back when hip hop was just fun and so on and so forth. But you don't hear nearly as much talk about what was going on over in Harlem, because everybody in the country, like if you were black, there was just certain stuff that you were doing. Like it was certain ways that you enjoyed yourself, and you had certain conditions that made it such that you had to figure out these ways to either entertain yourself or enjoy yourself with your people, and so on and so forth. So basically hip hop existed as a culture before it was called hip hop. It was just something that people were doing, so it wasn't a thing to capitalize off of at that time. But then when somebody caught wind of what was happening in the Bronx or whatever, they said, oh, okay, well, we can make some money off of this or whatever, the same way we were making money off all the other stuff that was happening in the music industry or whatever. And then it was given a label, and then it was packaged a certain way. So then that's when you start having your commercial rap and so on and so forth. However, what was happening over in Harlem was that you had a movement of people who was still kind of tied to, the struggle and the community development and certain ways of life and living and doing things. And they just happened to rap or whatever. So there was a difference between people who were part of this thing called rap and hip hop versus the people who were tied to these movements and things of that nature, and then expressed those views through the art of rapping and hip hop. All right. And so those two things started getting confused as rap started to become more profitable, to where people started to kind of lean in, not even necessarily people themselves, but the people who were making the hiring decisions and paying out the money. They started to find that fiction was more profitable than the facts that were put in there. So people got more interested in the way that things were being expressed instead of the thing that was being expressed, whereas this was a medium that was brand new and it had the potential to change lives for a lot of people. You had those people who are more concerned with money and seeing there's more iterations of fiction than there are iterations of fact, because there's only one fact, like 1 + 1 = 2. but then you have an infinite number of wrong answers. I could be 1 + 1 = 3, 1 + 1 = 4, 1 + 1 = 5, and then therefore in a society that's based on quantity over quality or whatever, you're gonna get a lot more quantity out of fiction than you're gonna get out of fact. And then so hip hop evolved just like anything else in a capitalist society. So it's like, so for me personally or whatever, so now that you know the fact of how it developed, for me personally, how my development has been was initially being this thing that I just discovered that I was able to do and was able to express myself, and it turned into being like kind of a therapy for me, like me making sense of things that were going on around me, because I had like domestic violence, all sorts of stuff going on around me and stuff. And then once I healed or whatever and got through that type of presentation didn't serve me anymore or whatever. Like it literally didn't fit with me internally, whatever, the way I couldn't even summon that thing anymore or whatever. And so then as people started relying on me and actually looking to me as a source of inspiration and information and things of that nature, naturally my music moved accordingly. So it's like, so that's the difference between art as a manifestation of who you are as a person versus you simply creating something because that's what makes money, and then there are people who choose to do so. There are people whose livelihood depends on that, but it just, for me personally, even when I was drawing and things like that, I didn't like somebody telling me what to draw and then I had to draw it because they were paying me money, as opposed to me drawing because it makes me happy, it helps me relax, because the people around me enjoy it, and so that was a personal choice for myself. I didn't give a fuck about, like, you could dangle money all day if it doesn't fit with my principles and things of that nature. Hell, I'll find some other way to get money or whatever, but you ain't gonna pervert my art, you ain't gonna pervert my manifestation. And it took having to go through all of those phases and all those stages to arrive at that place and then be happy and peaceful within it.
Well, hey, man, that's one path. And that's the best one that there is for you because it is yours. So, now that we're on the path of change and finding one's peace and one's zen, how are you going to bring all of that to our little heart of Georgia here?
All right, so I think one of the other important factors that plays into the success of the Madvocates is that not everybody in the crew raps. Not everybody raps the same way. So it allows people to see the various ways that same principle of how we do business and how we interact with each other, to see how that same principle manifests in different ways through each of us. Because that's usually the main issue, where people think, oh, okay, I gotta imitate that way of doing things. Like they look at let's say a group like Migos for instance. So it's like, so you'll have people who don't understand the underlying stuff of it and only see the surface part. So they say, okay, well, I gotta sound like these guys to succeed. Or they say, I gotta dress like these guys to succeed. I gotta do the stuff they're talking about in their song to succeed. Whereas there's an underlying friendship and other stuff going on behind the scenes between these three people that made them specific. Because it ain't like they're the only people out there rapping about, trapping, and ain't the only ones that were rapping the way they was rapping or whatever. It was just that there was some specific to them as individuals and as a unit that allowed them to have their success or whatever. And so the way that we've assembled things is such that there's enough variety that a person can clearly see beyond that to the thing that actually makes it successful, and then we make it our business to make sure they identify that thing. It's like, yeah, I know you see this right here, but this is what we're doing in order to make that happen. And then people don't always do that. Like, you have a lot of successful people, and it's not even because they don't want to tell you, it's just that they have so many other hands in the pot assembling their success for them that they honestly could not tell you how they got where they are. Like I mean, like music legends I know or whatever, that if you ask them about it, it's like they would love to help you. They love you as a person, but they honestly don't know what to tell you to do or where to go or who to talk to. It's like, well, this is how it happened for me. And then you go and talk to that same person that did it for them, and they may not be willing to do it for you because now they're big and famous and don't want to do anything without you paying them or something like this. So it's like, So it's like, so those are the kind of roadblocks you run into. But when you're people like us who from the ground up, you know, build our, what occurs to both us and them as success or whatever, then we're able to, you know, reverse engineer and be able to tell you, okay, this is what we did at this stage. This is a resource that you could go to just like we did. Here's here I can look at your situation and then measure it against ours and say, oh, okay, this is why that isn't working, because this is what we did here or whatever that made the difference. And then you don't have that going on over here, whatever. You still got this person over here talking shit behind your back and then going to the tabloids and whatever else. You gotta get that motherfucker out of there. You know, so little stuff like that. So if you do something and you keep track of how you're doing it or whatever, and you're able to express that to people or whatever, they can find it and they don't have to copy you, but they can manifest that for themselves in their way.
Insightful. Well, I think Cap hit all the heavy hitter questions, if you will. And I can't necessarily, well, not that I can't relate to it. My questions are just a bit more lighthearted, if you will.
Yeah, that's fine. Question is a question.
Right. One big thing I wanted to get at, and you touched on it quite a bit, with people's perception of you versus their perception of hip hop, and then having to conflict within their own minds of how that doesn't necessarily quote unquote match up. And we've been over this before. You don't really like clubbing.
Not anymore. Well, to be honest, you know, I never was a huge fan of it because, especially like around the age that most people start going to clubs and things of that nature. My cousins and I, we were still like training heavy in martial arts at the time, so it's like, so we couldn't it was a personal choice. We didn't like smoke and drink and stuff like that. And then one of the first things you realize when you go to some of these club parties and stuff is that it is miserable to be the only person not drunk. Like,
yep.
like when you in drunk world or whatever, y'all vibing and you don't see a lot of the fuckery, but it's like I can see people's faces clearly, and I'm just like, ew. And there's people bumping into each other and stepping on your shoes that you just paid all that good money for, and
you get
spilling you know what I'm saying? People fighting and mad for no reason and stuff. I was like, why would a person pay to go through this? You know what I'm saying? Like,
subjected yourself to that for money.
Yeah, and then it transformed, because what ended up happening was when I started like volunteering and getting involved with like these different street teams and stuff like that, like that was the first time that I got an opportunity to just like be in VIP, like not pay to get in the club, but like because I'm actually contributing to the event in some way or whatever, I get to experience it from a place that I normally wouldn't be able to or whatever. I get to be right up there with the guy that owns the place, you know. And so after you taste that's like going back down there on the floor. Is like going from filet mignon back to bologna or some shit, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, pay you to get in the club, motherfucker. I know the DJ. Fuck y'all niggas, get out of my way, you know. And then after that, it was actually a guy in Miami named Sailor, and I haven't seen this dude in years. If you happen to come across this and hear me, man, hit me up, find me, bro. But basically, he had this one night in Miami. He Grammy Award winning dude or whatever that you've never heard of. He was involved with Fat Joe's Lean Back. Like, he was one of the writers on that. So he got a statue for that. And so got to hang out with him. And one thing that I saw him do is like he would pull up to these clubs. Like, you had like Mansion that was popping in Miami and a couple of these other clubs. And you see this long line wrapped out there. And in fact, I saw people I knew in that line because we were down there for a conference. And so he pulls up on the sidewalk in front of the door. We all hop out. He goes right to the front. Folks let us in. We go in there. We holler at the DJ real quick. We're not in there more than 5 to 10 minutes at the absolute most, maybe just 5. And we walk out of there and then we go rendezvous at some other spot. So we managed to hit like about 3-4 different spots within that 30 to 45 minutes. And then we went and we kicked it on a private beach like the end of the night. So it's like, so that art of the walkthrough or whatever, that shit was sexy to me. I was like, you mean I get to go in there and people know I was there, and then I get my shout out and whatever else, and I can be out this bitch and be home and be in my bed or do whatever the fuck I want to do for the rest of the evening? What? Because that whole riding to the club with somebody else and not being able to leave till 2 or 3 in the morning and you tired and you got class in the morning or something like this, that shit was dead. And so once I figured out that whole art of the walkthrough, I'm like, that's it. Like the most I'll do is I'll go take some pictures, let people know I was there, and then get the fuck on out.
Hell yeah, I ride with that.
Yeah.
Still on a lighter note, how do you feel about this current overuse of the word simp?
Well, the overuse of any word, it's usually. All right, so here's the problem with like slang is cool. Slang gives you an identity, whatever, so on and so forth. But
Let me walk that back real quick. Not as it affects you, because I'm sure it doesn't, but like as it's currently used in my perception, because I would like to clear that up. In my perception, used to shame men who are nice to the women they claim they love, like their wives and shit.
Yeah. So that's what I was getting toward. Because like what happens with any word is that you can't really identify what a person's volition is behind their usage of a word. Like you may have a groupthink version of what that word is, and so let's say you have somebody that comes along just because everybody's been saying simp or whatever. You know, they call somebody that shit and they don't realize how that shit hit for that person. You know what I'm saying? Then you got issues and so on and so forth. So it's like this whole idea of saying that basically what you're doing is emasculating a dude, you know what I'm saying, with something like that. In a lot of cases, that's usually what it's intended for, you know what I'm saying, for things that were once coveted. You know, like there's certain treatment in ways that you know, women may have wanted been treated and things like that dudes are now getting ridiculed for. And then a large part of that has to do with the fact that you have culture that is based on something other than the substance. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, that sounds cool, but it's like, I know dudes who never kind of grew out of that player phase or you know, that shit they were doing when they were younger, and then they're older and they might have like nice pads, plenty of money, all of this, but these are some like irritable, sad, constipated motherfuckers. like because they were the ones that were ridiculing the dudes that were doing A, B, and C. But now those same dudes are the ones that are happy as shit with a family and just feeling fulfilled in life. And then this guy over here has to, you know, keep up that, you know, that facade or whatever in order to maintain the lifestyle he's built for himself. So it's like, so that's why there's a huge difference in setting up your life such that it just, you know, kind of runs versus it being one of these types of lives you have to manage.
Maintain.
Like, you have to maintain that shit. And so simp kind of backs you in that corner. So it's like, I mean, simp is like a gun or whatever. It could be used to harm people, or it could be used to save people, depending on the context that you use it in, just like any other word. But then you just got to understand what kind of house you building for yourself with that shit when you refer to somebody else, because you're going to be that you matter of fact, them same niggas gonna be looking at you like, look at this old simple ass nigga. This simple ass nigga ain't got shit or whatever. He that's sad or whatever. I don't care about your Porsche, nigga, whatever, your lonely ass. You know what I'm saying? Where you going? Who you going to see in that Porsche? Ain't nobody trying to look at you in that Porsche. Fuck you, nigga. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, so you got to look at it from both ends of it. And then as a person, if you're referred to as that, or if somebody calls you that shit, like, it all comes down to how solid you are within with that, like if you're impacted by it or not. You know what I'm saying? And then I don't see how you could be a simp if that shit roll off you like water off a duck's back. You know what I'm saying?
I fuck with that. I really do. There's one more thing I had. I'm trying to get it to come back to the front of my brain instead of way back there in the back trying to be a whole thought. You got it.
I got it. Double entendres. Google that word. That's your word for the day. What is a double entendre? That's your homework. Put it in the comments.
What is... Oh, yeah, cause I asked Mook this the one time I was able to chime in on Mook in the Morning, and the answer didn't really connect with me, just because, you know, the age difference and the difference in what context he had behind his answer versus me, young enough to be his daughter. What do you feel like it takes Not just being in the industry, not just being a public figure, not just being somebody trying to change the city he loves for the better. Do you feel like, and I guess expounding on the whole, is that simpish or no? Do you feel it takes to have a lasting relationship, no matter how it's escalated, whether it's your wife or your girlfriend that you know you want to spend the rest of your life with, but you don't necessarily believe in getting married? Just what do you feel makes a good foundation for a lasting relationship?
Oh man, yeah. So what I've arrived on from experience and having been through several relationships, and with people that I loved, dearly, but it didn't pan out and then usually what'll happen is like maybe some years down the line or however long down the line, I'll see that thing that was missing. I'll be like, God damn, if I'd only done this or seen this, or if I'd, in having done that, at the end of the day, it comes down to having a definition for yourself as to what peace is, and it's something that you don't mind sticking with. And within my circles, we look at peace as the total absence of confusion, and what that does is that gives you an action that you can take, because if there's confusion, you need to find a solution. And that starts within, because you can't see peace around you if you don't have it within. So it's like, 100% of the time, I don't look at it as, oh, this person's doing something to me, or no, I look inside first and I say, okay, well, why does that thing they're doing occur to me as something that's bothering me, or whatever? And then usually what happens is, if I address that, then the many ways that thing could manifest through that person, none of them affect me, or whatever. Because most people, like, from my observation, is that they deal with these things on a situation by situation basis, thinking, not realizing it's the same person that's up under all of that or whatever. So it's not like this person changed into a whole nother species from day to day. It's still the same person. And so if you can't keep them constant, the only place you can look is within yourself. What can I keep constant within myself? You know what I'm saying? So that's basically what you have to do. And then you have to get with a person that's a stand for that too. Like, hey, you find some constancy within you, I'll find some constancy within me. And when we combine those two constants, or whatever, we got a result. We have something that we can focus on, and is our measure for how far we've deviated from that. You know what I'm saying? Like, we know what our happy is, and we know how to get back to that happy.
All right.
Well, we've touched on happiness. We've touched on personal progress. We've touched on aspirations and how you got to have them, man. But I gotta know. What is it that you want? I mean, you got a family,
Man.
you're working in the field you love, but what do you want, man?
That's the craziest shit. And then, all right, so check this out. And it's just hitting me within recent times. The vast majority of human beings spend their lives from start to finish trying to figure out what it is they want. They get something and then they want something else. And for the first time in my life, I have what I want per se, but I realize it's not, that doesn't mean you stop moving, because even if you do find satisfaction, and in a lot of ways, I really found that during that period of time, that hiatus I took down in Vero Beach. But there was a moment in there where I realized, I was like, this shit ain't cool if other people can't experience this.
Hey, spread the wealth.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And then I realized from having lived life that not everybody gets the opportunity to find that place, because it's like, it's so many things that are in place that keep you from getting to that point where you can actually stop and say, oh, think about those people. Like, when I was in that game of working the 9 to 5 and things like that, I was working so much I never really got that chance to stop and really even think about what it was that I really wanted. So what would happen, by the time payday rolls around, it's like you pay your bills, and if you got a little extra money, you basically fucking it up on either food or video games, just something frivolous. You know what I'm saying? So it's like until you have that little time to really stop and say, damn, what's going on in my life? Then you can't even decide what you want. So it just came a point where I just stopped all of that shit. I was just like, you know what, fuck this. Like, I don't care. I need to see what's going on with my health. I need to see what's going on with my relationships or whatever else. Fuck that money or whatever. Like, whatever. If I get paid for something, I get paid for something. But my life is not going to center around that. Like, if I can't have peace while I'm doing that, it's not even worth living. Like, you might as well just check me out. Like, it really got to that point. And I know the circumstances around which it took to even be willing to get to that point, because anybody could, you know, just take that stand. But then we tell ourselves like, well, if I don't do this, if I don't move this certain way, then the world's gonna end. That's basically how it occurs. Like I'm gonna lose my household, I'm gonna lose my family if I don't do these things. And then all you end up doing is working to build more things to add on to the confirmation of that thing. In other words, if you were in that free mind state or whatever, you wouldn't have sat there and built that situation and put yourself in that situation where you had that higher rent, because you were just paying $500 over there. But you were the one that said you had to have the bigger house. You were the one that said you had to have all that other shit that added more payments onto you or whatever. You didn't have to or whatever, but you chose that or whatever, and it's perfectly fine. I'm not criticizing people from doing it, but I'm just saying that when I stopped thinking like that or whatever, that's when I found freedom within myself first. And then when I went back to get those things, it wasn't one of those situations where I didn't feel like I had an escape or whatever. I didn't have to be there. So it's like, so it's not so much wanting things at this point so much as actually being aligned with my purpose, such that I see exactly what I need in order to do certain things. And then when I say purpose, I don't even mean just working and all that stuff, because you can't continue to work unless you're taking care of your sanity and your health and your enjoyment. So it's like, so the craziest thing in the world, I figured out that I had to actually schedule time to rest. I had to schedule time to actually enjoy myself, kick back and catch up on my shows or something. Like, I actually started factoring that into my schedule, you know. And then once I started doing it like that, that's when I realized, I was like, okay, all of this ties into my purpose or whatever, even when I'm stopping and watching this thing, because it's helping me re-energize so I can get out there and do my thing. And so as long as you're aligned with your purpose, it's not nearly as hard, simply because you'll see exactly what it is that you need. And then when that need becomes your want too, like I want to stay in my purpose, then it's like it almost comes to you at that point. Like I'll just be sitting around just doing what it is that I do. And like somebody just hit me the other day. Like I don't remember the last time I taught Tai Chi, but then like dude wanted to give me like $500 or so to do, like, learn to over the course of 6 weeks and stuff like this. And I was like, well, you know, I ain't say it like this. Of course, I said it in a more professional manner, but I was like, I don't even roll out of bed for less than $1,500, so you gonna have to find me 2 more people. He was like, sure. And I was like, and so just being real definite about, like, usually if it's something that I don't want to do, I'm just going to charge a ridiculous amount of money that I don't expect somebody to accept. And then if they do it, I'm like, oh shit.
Well, for that amount of money, I guess.
So you can't lose with it. But if the vast majority of things I do, I'm doing because I love it, and I know that I have a choice, and I don't do it unless I want to do it. So
nice. Ooh, back to choices. One last thing. Let's say you had a magic mic. Mic with a C. That's the Chris Wynn action figure accessory.
Chris and the magic mic with a C.
Wave it over the city. What's gonna happen to be different?
What would I change?
What would you, if given the ability to fix it immediately, and it is set up in a system such that you don't have to fuck with it again? It is a self-sustaining problem solution.
You just answer the question, and it's kind of like
which one though?
Hold on, check it out though, because I'm gonna show you what you just did. All right, so remember that time we were saying what's the one thing that everybody in the city of Macon has in common that you can guarantee they have in common?
They're in Macon.
They're in Macon. They're on the city of Macon, and then for a lot of people that wouldn't be satisfying enough or whatever. But if that's the only reason that you had to have to treat somebody next to you right, like, oh, okay, we're both from Macon. It's good enough for me, or whatever. you know what I'm saying? Like, it's that simple. Like look at like how me and Cap met. It was literally like, oh, he's a pirate and I'm a ninja. All right, that's pretty cool. That's all I need to know. I don't care about any of the other shit or whatever. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But But it's really that simple. You said if I could wave, and there was a solution where it became self-sustainable to the point where you didn't have to work on that. That's exactly it. If each person was self-sustainable, you know what I'm saying? Like, I like one of the things I kind of want to see happen in the world is like certain jobs not be necessary. You know what I'm saying? Like what if we lived in a world that was so safe that we didn't need police officers? Like the people that had the the knowledge and the skill, they basically just spent their time teaching other people how to protect themselves. You know what I'm saying? Then they don't have to be go out there and be in danger or whatever. They don't have to risk taking somebody's life under the wrong volition and things like that. So basically exactly what you said. Like if it was a situation where everybody took responsibility and accountability for how their own life turns out or whatever, stop pointing the fingers and just say, okay, well here's what I can do right now. Here's what I can do for myself or whatever, and then here's what I can teach somebody else so that they can do it for themselves. Each one teach one, you know what I'm saying, and just let it spread like that, you know what I'm saying, and that's what I would do. But you know what I'm saying, just give everybody the thing, like magic wand. I'm not gonna tell you what the thing is, but give you the eye such that you can see that thing for yourself.
Insight. Love it.
I know.
I've said it before, I'll say it again. Introspection is fucking key.
So yeah, so I know it's about that time. Captain, what you got going on?
Well, I'm over here and I'm thinking who the hell I'm gonna set my sights on next, because the world needs to know of the Madvocates, because once the world understands what it is we're trying to do here in the heart of Georgia, maybe they'll stop talking about all this irrelevant bullshit and we'll actually get some change underway. But for me to do that, you know me, I'm a very particular man. I needs my peace. I needs my space. So I'm gonna need these crewmen to get the hell up out my face. TTFN, like and subscribe. Let us know what you think. And also, take care of yourselves. Love each other. And stop going at each other's throats over the little things. Because remember, the 3 types of people. Again, crewmen, take care. See, when you've said enough today.
Yeah, I'm just be like, peace.
Now, you said enough. Chi, no one ever gets tired of you saying anything. What do you got for the crewmen before we bounce out?
Let's see. Let's check this list here. Drink your water. Take your meds. I already said introspection is key. So is context. So is context. So is context. Be good to each other. Be good to yourselves.
Oh my God, Compton! She said the thing!
If there's any lyricists out there that want to make that a song, I'll sing it.
Oh, and hit that mad line, y'all. Like it's about to be time for March Madness, so if you want to be of contribution, the line is open.
We are a non-profit organization. We take donations.
Now I'd rather take your actual action and your energy to work toward your dreams.
Yeah, fuck your donations.
You can donate that too.
No, I don't want donations. Fuck that. No.
Yeah, we getting there. We trying to take all these corporate folks' money, all these people that got all that excess money. Like especially if you don't have that much money in your pocket. Yo, all we want is to know what you want to accomplish, and then we'll see how we can accomplish that together. But if you just got money like that and you've been blowing it on bullshit that ain't been productive for the world, whatever, donate that shit. We'll take it up off you.
And again, on the folks with money, if you got money, don't just be one of them dudes that says you want to do a bunch of shit to help us out, and then you sit on your laurels and find every goddamn excuse you can to not do anything.
Yeah, so give what you can, what you're willing to give. Give your fruit, not your bark and your roots.
There you go. That being said, again, all this space and you're still in my face. Bye, crewman.
Peace.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.